Good morning, grade 8 students. Let's start our lesson, the best Christmas present in the world. Already 2 parts completed, now the 3rd part. Before entering into that, till now what happened, just a synopsis. See, in our story, the narrator, he went to a junk shop, purchased a roll-top desk. It is in a bad condition, as you all know, in the previous videos. And he started repairing it on a Christmas Eve, that is 24th December, and he found a letter in a drawer. He read the letter, and it was from Jim McPherson to his wife Connie, as written on top, basing on the address. After reading the letter, he found that Jim McPherson was the leader of England Army. Leader in the sense, officer, army officer. And he described that England and Germany were engaged in a war, but on the Christmas morning, a wonderful thing happened. First, Germans wished Happy Christmas to English soldiers, and same response was given by English also. The leaders shared their ideas and feelings with each other and celebrated Christmas by eating, laughing, talking, and drinking. Now let's come to the part 3 from page number 12. I hope that everyone turned up their textbooks to page number 12, right? Now come to the bottom paragraph. Concentrate, children. Just I am going through the lesson. You please follow the textbook and the narration, right? Then someone, I don't know who, brought out a football. The great courts were dumped in piles to make goal posts, and the next thing we knew it was Tommy against Fritz out in the middle of no man's land. Hans Wolf and I looked on and cheered, clapping our hands and stamping of it to keep out the cold as much as anything. There was a moment when I noticed our breaths mingling in the air between us. He saw it too and smiled. Jim McPherson, he said after a while, I think this is how we should resolve this war. A football match. No one dies in a football match. No children are orphaned. No wives becomes widows. I would prefer cricket, I told him. Then we, Thomas, could be sure of winning probably. We laughed at that, and together we watched the game. Sad to say, Connie, Fritz won. 2-1. But as Hans Wolf generously said, our goal was wider than theirs, so it wasn't quite fair. Children, see in this narration that someone, because they are eating, laughing and drinking and all, so among them someone, they brought a football, it seems. Great coats were dumped in piles to make goal posts. Everyone, both the teams or both the army troops. And the next thing what they are doing is Tommy's and Fritz, both of them in the middle of no man's land, they started gathering and then they started a game, football game. Hans Wolf and I, means Jim here, looked at each other and they were cheered up, means they were so happy. Who are happy? Both the country officers, in which they are fighting now till now. Suddenly one man came and waved a white flag. This all happened in the previous classes. Now they are cheering up with happiness, clapping our hands, stamping our feet. Why so? To keep out the cold as much anything, to control at that Christmas morning time climate. He saw it, this type of weather and atmosphere where both the soldiers are playing with cheerfulness, and he was saying, I think this is how we should resolve this war. This is the correct way, I think so, to stop the war. A football match we can conduct. They are playing. See, in the football match, no one dies. No children are orphaned. No wives becomes widows. How pretty the game is. And Jim told, I prefer cricket. Naturally, England is the first country who are the cricket lovers there. Born there, the game born there. Then we Tommies could be sure of winning probably. So they all laughed at each other, and both officers watched the game. But as he was sharing this to his wife, sad to say Connie in the sense Jim's wife. Fridge 1 means Fridge 1 in the sense German soldiers, German team or German troop won the match. Which match? Football match. 2-1. Here 1 goal, that team 2 goals. But as Hans Wolf generously said, what he said, okay, we may won physically, but technically our goal was wider than theirs. So it wasn't quite fair. This is not the quite victory. We won't take that, he said, it seems. Now come to this 13th page, the second paragraph. The time came, and all too soon, when the game was finished, the schnapps and the rum and the sausage had long since run out, and we knew it was all over. I wished Hans well and told him I hoped he would see his family again soon, that the fighting would end and we could all go home. I think that is what every soldier wants on both sides, Hans Wolf said. Take care, Jim McPherson. I shall never forget this moment, nor you. He saluted and walked away from me slowly, unwillingly. I felt. He turned to wave just once and then became one of the hundreds of grey-coated men drifting back towards their trenches. What's the meaning of trenches? In the history class we learned long deep ditches in ground where soldiers hide from the enemy. Now when we come to this narration here, the time came. Which time came? As they have to disperse. And all too soon, when the game was finished, the schnapps and the rum and the sausage had long since run out. What else? Their snacks, what else they brought? Everything completed. And we knew it was all over. Nothing there. Everything completed. I wished Hans well and told him I hoped he would see his family again soon. So better we can stop the war. You people go to your place. We too go to our place. They decided, and they were about to move by giving a handshake. So here Hans Wolf is saying, what you saying? I think that is what every soldier wants on both sides. Every soldier of the both sides, they want peace. After completing the war, they have to go home. They have to see their families, enjoy with the families, be a part of their own nation. That's the life. Take care, Jim McPherson. Who said this? Hans Wolf. I shall never forget this moment. Which moment? Came for war. And again, there's an amazing moment. And then he saluted and walked away from me slowly, unwillingly. Means Hans Wolf is not willing to go away, but he has to. He has to lead his troop. I felt. Who felt? Jim. What the meaning of felt here? He felt sad. The troop is going. A new friend, in which both of them shared about Thomas Hardy, about the book, Madding Crowd, Bathsheba, Gabriel Oak, Sargent, different stories they have discussed. Okay, both of them asked about their own whereabouts, everything. So I felt. He was sad. He turned to wave just once and then became one of the hundreds of grey-coated men drifting back towards their trenches, it seems. That night, back in our dugouts, the dugouts in the sense, a shelter for soldiers made by digging a hole in the ground and covering it. What happened that night? Back in our dugouts, we heard them singing a carol. Singing it quite beautifully. It was Still Nights, Silent Night. Our boys gave them a rousing chorus of while shepherds watched. We exchanged carols for a while, and then we all felt silent. We had had a time of peace and goodwill, a time I will treasure as long as I live. Dearest Connie, by Christmas time next year, this war will be nothing but a distant and terrible memory. I know from all that happened today how much both armies long for peace. We shall be together again soon, I am sure of it. Your loving Jim. So this is the letter found by the narrator in the roll-top desk where he purchased. Where he purchased? Any guess where he purchased that roll-top desk? In a junk shop in Bridport, right? And now when we come to this, both of them given a handshake, and he said, "Take care, Jim McPherson. I shall never forget this moment." Which moment? The way they talk. He saluted, and then slowly, unwillingly, he felt and he made a move. Okay, that night what happened? Back in our dugouts, the shelter there, we heard them singing a carol, and singing it quite beautifully, it seems. What is that? It was "Still a Night, Silent Night." Have you ever heard that Silent Night song? Just please listen then. Not the complete song, just 2 or 3 lines. Okay, are you ready? Get set, go. 1, 2, 3.
Silent night, holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round a young virgin mother and child. Holy weekend, so tender and mild.
Silent night,
Holy night, all is calm, all is bright, round your virgin mother and child. Holy infant, so tender and mild.
silent night, holy night.
Hope you enjoyed the song. In such way, they exchanged the carols for a while, and what they have done, they felt silent, it seems. So we had their time of peace and goodwill, a time that treasure long as they live. Every time it will be a sweet memory. It's not all that easy. 2 nations gather there, one each an enemy, but dividing in a smoother manner, going back with the peace, with soldiers back homes with their families, not making their children orphan, not making their wives widows, and with the peace playing game and going. It's not an ordinary day. This Christmas morning is a very special day, isn't it? And here Jim has given an assurance that, "Dear Connie, by Christmas time next year, this war will be nothing, so I'll be coming. It will remain as a terrible memory. We shall be gathering there soon." Okay, your loving Jim, he says so. Next, in the page number 14, part 3 of the textbook here, I folded the letter again and slipped it carefully back into its envelope. I kept awake all night. By morning, I knew what I had to do. I drove into Bridport. Just a few miles away, I asked a boy walking his dog where Copper Beaches was. House number 12 turned out to be nothing but a burned out shell, the roof gaping, the windows boarded up. I knocked at the house next door and asked if anyone knew the whereabouts of Mrs. McPherson. "Oh yes," said the old man in his slippers. He knew her well. "A lovely old lady," he told me. "A bit muddle-headed." What's the meaning here? Muddle-headed means confused. But at her age she was entitled to be, wasn't she? 101 years old. She had been in the house when it caught fire. No one really knew how the fire had started, but it could well have been candles. She used candles rather than electricity because she always thought electricity was too expensive. The fireman had got her out just in time. She was in a nursing home now. He told me Burlington House on the Dorchester Road on the other side of the town. Here the narrator, he forwarded the letter. What else till now we have discussed, and basing on the address, he kept awake all night, and the next morning he straight away drive to the Bridport, just few miles there, and he asked the boy where about the address and all. The boy has said an address. Straight away he went, but it there itself is a burned house. It seems, means a destroyed by fire, burned out shell in the sense, a roof gapping and windows boarded out and all this. And he knocked the door, but no one has opened. In the meanwhile, a small old man in slippers, he was there, and when he asked, "Oh yes, I know the old lady, but she was a very little old and lovable lady," he told, it seems. But a bit confused, what he said, now she was not there. She was 101 years old, because her house was caught hold of fire, and now she was just saved in time by the fire department, and she was kept in the nursing home now. Where it is? The nursing home is Burlington House on the Dorchester Road on the other side of the town. Thank you, students. I hope that today's explanation is very clear to you. And tomorrow, the last part, we can go ahead, page number 15 and 16. And now it's time to give the homework. The homework is page number 14, 5 questions are there, and page number even 15 also 2 questions are there, comprehension check. Okay, 5 plus 2, 7 questions. You please answer them. Hope that yesterday's homework you have done, picking up the nouns, verbs and adverbs. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye.